coming here. They're waiting at the edge of the city. They're peering around buildings at night. And they're waiting. They're waiting for you. And they'll take you one by one, and no one will hear you scream. No one will hear you scream!
There's already been a number of YouTube channels that's covered the ignorance of Brie, but I just didn't feel the need to continuously make videos always covering the same talking points. It's like music or movies or any form of entertainment. There's only so much to watch or listen to before it gets all rhetorical. Yes, Brie's an incompetent dumb shit who's doing a fine job at killing her own movie, due to just how moronic she has come off in a short time that she's being pushed into the spotlight of sorts while doing press for it. And since I already made a video diving into a little of that while using some of my own history, I'll try to use some of those very same elements for this one to try to justify my point. After seeing and watching some of the other channels cover her, I was thinking, is there really anything I need to add without sounding repetitive? I didn't intend on making any kind of conclusion to the last one, but the sheer stupidity that Brie has shown a tremendous amount of is hard to ignore, especially with the whole small thing coming to light that proves he's just another typical hateful racist who's filled with anti-white rhetoric that sounds like a lot of those fools on Twitter who, even if they are white, they're against whites themselves. Does this make any sense?
Smollett attempted to gain attention by sending a false letter that relied on racial, homophobic, and political language. When that didn't work, Smollett paid $3,500 to stage this attack.
Authorities now saying that reported hate crime was all a hoax.
How do you not believe that? It's the truth.
I'm not sure if this will end up as long as the other one, even though that was still short. I still have to take the time to find the words to come up with, so as you can see, the name of the title is called Don't Be a Larson. So, what is a Larson? Well, as I was just going over the number of articles and just how it's been recently documented, just how Brie has become more and more self-absorbing in her own delusional mindset and seems to be all about making sure that white men are problematic and to blame for the state of the movie industry, in which she has to make sure the virtue signal every other misconception, like the other mindless sheeple. Because of this, I've come to the realization that she's become her own definition. Basically, she's an arrogant bigot who's not only judgmental but that's full of hate, hostility, and ignorance, who pretends to care about others but is really only about serving her own self-entitlement, all because a number of people know who she is and will follow blindly, in which she is more than aware of. This is called narcissistic personality disorder. She is not a role model for any kind of woman, despite what big-name sites want you to see her as. Her own self-righteous hate could be the death blow for either her career or the MCU or both. Well, maybe not the entire MCU. This hostility towards just about anyone who does not agree with her outlook or ideology, even though no one has said or done anything to prompt such a reaction, are all common signs of this disorder. She's already been used in identity politics to promptly push herself into a position she doesn't belong in, who only acts on feelings without using any common sense. If you tell her otherwise, despite there being actual facts, then of course you're wrong, which is where her fallacy comes into play.
I want to say one thing I love about you is you had a great story happen recently about inclusivity and diversity in press. And I'm a white male, and I commended you completely on that. But
Thanks.
Most people, when that article dropped, it was headlines that were completely taking you out of context. Like she wants no white men at like press junction, which is not what you were saying. And people need to read the articles to actually find out the context of what you were saying.
Yeah.
But as an actor, when you have to say something like that, do you worry about how things get twisted? And for audiences who only do read headlines, can you clarify what you were saying? 'Cause I think it's awesome what you're doing, and I hope that more actors do it.
I mean, it's hard for me to comment on that because I don't know what the headlines were or what was said or what I said or what people think that I said. All that I know is like, what I'm looking for is to bring more seats up to the table.
Yep.
No one's getting their chair taken away. There's not less seats at the table. There's just more seats at the table.
Yeah.
That's it.
I love that you're doing that, and please, I hope every actor sees what you're doing and does it more, because we need more diversity.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
What the hell did you just say?
It's actually more telling that she hasn't been really helpful in making sure that a movie does well, since it's all about promoting herself, with sites even creating this illusion that she's some sort of ideal woman for little girls to look up to and for other women to want to be like. This is pure hysteria and problematic, seeing she's doing the same BS that was pulled after a good amount of people voiced their opinion about the Ghostbusters movie with all women with witty articles for one of the best so-called feminist sites, with McCarthy even adding her own displeasure even though the movie hasn't been out in nearly 3 years. She sure made sure anyone who read or saw the interview knew just what she thinks what the root cause was of the Ghostbusters failing. Here's the thing, I personally didn't have a problem with it. And I even enjoyed some of her other gigs like Bridesmaids, even though she had a small role. That one spy movie, and even that Mike and Molly show wasn't that bad, but then soon afterwards her movies just started to become repetitive and repetitious more than anything. It's almost like those Adam Sandler movies, aside from maybe a handful.
Great! Well, get off the phone, you psycho! All right!
But then there is that Ocean's 8 movie, which really showed how hateful and racist someone would be towards a certain group of people if you don't like it, without getting all the facts correct. But since that hate was geared towards that certain group of people, then it's okay because, hey, why not?
No, why can't I? Because I'm white, huh? See, it's not fair.
These ignorant SJWs are always quick to label someone with their two favorite insults, which is either a racist or a sexist or both, when they've actually become the very same thing that they hate. It doesn't help with the number of tyrannical idiots who loves to pour gasoline on a burning building, to lay blame on these same group of people in which, although there's a more vulgar term for them, we'll just call them the ignorant so-called journalists that channels the same dream state. Writing articles or blogs for a site that they may or may not have been created by themselves, but who have obviously shown there's an apparent mental instability derived from the same deranged individuals as those who are part of a bigger corporate entity who are all Larsons themselves. It's like ever since comics has become PC in the past few years, the topics usually include some sort of paranoid crisis going on for what's being presented by the TV and social media outlets, without any real proof that there's any sort of real cause for concern unless you're the ones who's causing the problem. It's just become very hostile towards those who only want to give their opinion on something Larsons don't like. Whether you're into politics or not, me personally, I hate the whole left-right paradigm. Regardless of whether you affiliate yourself with one of these, those who have common knowledge and even common sense are well aware that there are those out there that are just pure evil that base their hatred on certain media networks and sites, but it's going well beyond that. I believe it's all been slowly turned this way for a lot longer. In the 80s and even throughout the majority of my life, I never came across such disgust and animosity from people all because of your political and even more so your religious beliefs. But in a few short years, there's been a massive increase of this hateful ideology that you either agree with those in power or get spewed on by their poison, with the media being more than helpful in creating this division for all those who are still sleepwalking. When do we lose the ability to not think for ourselves without running to social media sites like Twitter or Facebook just to get a reaction from these false auto celebs, just so we can blindly follow and listen to the point that we would do anything to use whatever is being said from these celebs as a comparison for our own arguments, trying to convince others that anything they say should be taken as gospel without presenting any kind of evidence to the contrary. To whatever social issues is going on weekly with even those who try to use religion to spread false knowledge, which comes off almost as borderline heresy. This mentality was also part of several cults, with one having a more horrific outcome than the other, but that's not to say they weren't all led by paranoid psychopaths. It's almost like these people are waiting for some sort of atrocity to happen before they come back to reality, but by then they might be so far gone, the only thing that will work for them is a padded cell. Apparently the same goes in Hollywood nowadays, with these actors crying on Twitter about social issues without again knowing any factual evidence to back up whatever they are bitching about, with some even hitting others who have their own skin color. How stupid are these people? I'm pretty sure actors like this has never really lived in a ghetto or knows what it's like to be robbed just because of your skin color. But they want to make sure that people see their tweet or whatever just because of those who are brainwashed can get some sort of insight, regardless if it comes off like a 5-year-old kid crying because their parents aren't giving them enough attention. This is where we are today, with Larson playing Marvel's Captain. Even if her pay is among the highest, she has to make sure she has something to bitch about. If the numbers do not come in as expected, I'm guessing it will be blamed on two factors. The one has been abundantly cleared by Larson herself, or it will be because you're sexist, maybe a sexist white dude. Who knows? Within the next couple of days, we'll have the actual debut of the movie, but the question is, are you going to actually watch something from someone who clearly has no empathy or compassion for those seeing it? I'm sure lots of those chicken shit Twitter heads will follow her to the ends of the earth, even if she could care less, all because of your skin color. This is the insanity that we live in. Sadly, her career might not dwindle down as much as it should, since there's still a lot of those within the TV and movie industry that share these same dysfunctional ideals, although most might not be white.
I feel like this was a really productive chat. Thanks for listening. Hope that I was helpful. Probably wasn't. Have a great day. I'm Be A Larson.
And you are nothing. You think you are fucking something, but you are fucking nothing. You are empty. You are a zero. You are a black hole.